Hi everyone, Miss Kelly from the Wakanda Area Library here. Today I'm going to show you what we're doing with this month's Art to Go kit. So this month you're going to make a stained glass spinner, and in your kit you're going to find some wax paper, a bag of crayons, a spiral, and some string. You'll need some scissors and some tape and paper towel. Something you can grate crayons with, something like this, or something plastic, or even if you have a pencil sharpener, that'll work too. So you're gonna need some crayon shavings. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how to get started. You're gonna take your 2 pieces of wax paper and choose some crayons. I gave you way more crayons than you're gonna need for this project, but I thought there's some other fun things you can do this summer with crayons with all this heat we've had lately. The first thing you need to do is peel your crayons. You don't want any of the paper in there. This can be kind of a messy project. You can do it a couple different ways too. You can grate it right onto the wax paper or grate it all into a bowl. I like to do it right onto the wax paper. I feel like I'm gonna keep a little bit of my mess contained. All right. And then I'm gonna take my grater and just rub this right on there. So something people don't think about a lot is that crayons are primarily wax. And when heated, they'll very easily melt. So, okay. A lot of it will cling on the back too. Let's do a couple colors. Maybe do some green too. So you could do this a couple different ways. You can cover the whole thing with crayon and you're gonna get a solid color, or you can leave it so you can see a little bit of the wax paper through and you get a little bit more light shining through. It just depends how you guys want it to look. And the crayon is probably the hardest part. Do a little green. Said you can also use, if you have an old pencil sharpener, you can do that too. Just a little bit of green. If you don't have either one of those things, you can use, I have a plastic scraper here. This works really well if you just rub it on the side of the crayon, or even like an old credit card or gift card, you can kind of scrape it that way. Or if you want, you can just break it up into really small pieces. So, okay. At any rate, when you get your crayon grated, you're going to put your other sheet of wax paper on the top. Okay. Now, at this point, you can put it out in the sun and let the sun melt it. Like I said, it's mostly wax. It'll melt pretty easily. Leave it out in the sun for an hour or so. When it starts to get warm, you're going to start kind of rubbing it like this, because the wax paper, we want it to adhere together. So the melted crayon is going to kind of like end up being like glue. Another thing you can do is, if you want to do this inside, you can tape this down and use a hairdryer on low. That'll melt it really quick. The third way you could do it is with your iron on the lowest setting. You put paper towel or some kind of cloth in there. I found out the hard way. Make really certain that you don't have any wax on the top before you put your iron on. Lowest setting though, and you just gently rub it on top. You'll be amazed. It takes a little while. It won't melt as fast as you think. So let's take this to the side. I'm going to show you one that I've already melted. So here's what I was talking about. If you put a lot on there, you're going to get that solid color. But if you leave a little bit spread out like that, you get kind of that more fun, sparkly, almost confetti look. But you can see that it's melted together now, so it's not going to come apart. So the next thing you're going to do is decide a shape that you want to make. I think for purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to do some diamonds. You can draw right on here, draw the shape so they're easier to cut out, or you can just freehand it, but you can do, you could do diamonds or stars, hearts, whatever, flowers, raindrops. You're going to need about 10 of them. I did about 5 larger ones and 5 smaller ones. You can make more. You have a lot of wax paper. You can make as many as you want. You can take and fill your spiral all the way in if you want. So you're going to cut these shapes out. None of them have to be perfect. When you get your shapes all cut out, I've got some I already cut out over here. So you can see I did some small ones and I did some larger ones. So you're going to take your string, and all the pieces of string can be the same length. I'm going to make them maybe about 3 inches long. I'll cut a few of them. All right, and this is where I'm going to use tape. You can. So I experimented a little bit with punching a hole in the wax paper stained glass piece. It's kind of fragile, So it can kind of crack it or tear a little bit more easily. So I found that just taping it down is a little bit easier. You're gonna tape this first. You're gonna tape a piece on to the end here. I did it this way and then kind of just tuck the edges around so you didn't see it. And then a little piece of tape on the other end. I'm starting with the smaller ones that I made, and I'm going to start on the inside of my spiral and tape it down. Okay, and then just repeat the process. Like I said, we're starting with the smaller ones first, and all the same length string. Oops. Crayons in summer are pretty fun. You can do a lot of melting projects with it. I gave you extra ones because if you wanted, you can peel them and break up some pieces and put them on a piece of foil out in the sun. And if you have an old cookie cutter, you can put them in there, or you can just make a little pile of the pieces and let the sun melt them into one solid piece. And when you let it cool, you'll have a multicolored crayon. It's a fun thing to do. You can melt them onto rocks. Put another one on. Just gonna work your way around the spiral. Get about there isn't a certain measurement that they need to be apart, but I'm going to try and keep it about the same distance. So I'm going to measure there, and then the next one I'm going to put over here. So I'll do another small one. So I'm going to do all my small ones first, and then I'll start on the bigger ones. Again, just keeping my string the same length all the way around. So you have a whole bag of crayons. It's a great thing to do with leftover or broken crayons, to find fun crafts to do with them like this. Like I said, if you melt them, you can melt them on a rock. They work pretty good to make hopscotch outside too. So once you've completed going all the way around, you're going to take your leftover string and you thread it through this hole on the top so you'll be able to hang it. And when you're done, you're going to end up with something like this. And it should spin. You can see I did some different ones so you can see the color through. So have fun, send me some pictures of your finished projects, and keep your eye out for next month's Art to Go. Bye now.